I just wanted to do a really quick explanation for you of why I don't teach Kegels or pelvic floor muscle contractions and releases as part of my program. There are a few reasons why I don't teach that. One of them is that I have got no idea whether you're doing them correctly or not, and a lot of people are able to clench the muscle, but then they're not able to release it, so they're just creating more tension in their body. Another reason is that quite often with pelvic floor issues, your pelvic floor is already too tight and it's not able to relax. So if you think of a muscle being too tight and then you're trying to squeeze it and not able to relax it, you're just going to cause more problems. And actually that is the case, that sometimes people have found that doing more and more Kegel exercises, that their problems are getting worse. So unless you've been told by a physio to do Kegel exercises and they have examined you, then I don't recommend that you do them. I would much rather teach your pelvic floor muscles to work reflexively, and that means to generate just the right amount of force when needed to do the job you're asking them to do. And the job that we want them to do is to hold in any urine when you sneeze or cough or laugh or jump. And that's all that they need to be able to do. We don't need them to clench really tight, because you don't need that amount of force, and you are just creating tension that your body doesn't need. And if you are unfortunate enough to have issues with a really tight pelvic floor and it isn't able to relax enough, it can lead to problems with giving birth, with tearing when giving birth. But even not even thinking about babies and pregnancy, but even during sex, your pelvic floor isn't able to release and relax enough to make sex pleasurable, and that's no fun at all. So I don't do the spot treatment, I don't do the tensing and relaxing of the pelvic floor, because there's so many more exercises that you can do that are going to benefit your whole body and teach your whole body to work well, rather than just focusing on one muscle tensing and relaxing. It doesn't make sense to me, and I hope that explains a little bit to you. If you have been told to do them by a physio or by somebody that has examined you, then please continue to do them, but all of the exercises that I am giving you are going to complement anything else that you are doing. And whether your pelvic floor is too tight or you've been told that your pelvic floor is too weak, all of these exercises are perfect for you. So we're going to start standing. This next exercise is a fantastic exercise for building stability and also strength, and it's called the pelvic list. So we're going to stand with our feet about hip width apart. Now when I say hip width apart, I'm meaning the little hip bones, the bony projections on the front of your pelvis. So not actually your kind of silhouette hips. We don't want to be kind of standing really wide, much more narrow. And then from here, we're going to put all of our weight down into one leg. So I want you to press all of your weight down into that one leg, and that will allow the other leg to lift away from the floor. And then just lower it back down. So both legs are going to stay straight. You're going to press all of your weight down into that one leg, and the other leg will lift away from the floor. And we're going to keep going on that same side. Press your weight down, leg will lift. So your pelvis is tilting. Yeah? You've got one hip going down and one hip lifting up. Now the movement is coming from this standing hip, and this is who we're really working on strengthening. So standing lateral hip muscles and your glutes. It is possible to cheat with this exercise, and if you were cheating with this exercise, you'll be using your lower back on this side to just hitch that hip up, and that will start to feel really not great on your lower back. So we want the back to be as relaxed as possible, because we've got these big strong muscles here able to do this work. Let's switch and do the other side. So placing that foot down again, press all of your weight down and allow your other side to lift. Notice if it's different on one side to the other. So sometimes you'll have one side where maybe your balance isn't quite as good, or just your strength isn't quite the same. This is my weaker side, so I struggle a little bit more on this side. If you need to go near a wall so that you've got something to hold on to for your balance, that's fine. We're going to do two more. And last one. Good. And then just give your legs a little shake. So that's your pelvic list. strengthening and stabilising all at the same time. We're going to come down onto the mat. Okay, so coming down onto your mat now, you're going to lie down on your side for this exercise. So we're going to have that bottom arm out long with your head resting on your arm, or if that's not comfortable for you, you can bend that elbow and then just prop your head in your hands. Knees are bent and they're in front of the rest of your body, and then feet are behind, kind of roughly in line with your spine. Let's think about the setup of your pelvis here. So finding that top hip bone, and it should be directly above your bottom hip bone. So we don't want to have that top hip rolled back, and you'll notice that your knees aren't level here as well. So knees level, pelvis stacked, and then we're going to maintain this same position. Find your hip bone, pop your fingers onto that hip bone and squeeze your feet together. We're going to open out that top knee and then close it back down. We're only going to open out that top knee as far as we can without your pelvis rolling back. So I always like to say, imagine that you've got a drink balanced on that hip, whatever your drink of choice is, cup of tea, pina colada, and you wouldn't want to spill your drink, so if you open your leg too far and your pelvis rolls back, your drink would be all over the floor. So we're just maintaining nice and stable. So what's happening here is that your pelvis isn't shifting, your leg is moving. And it's really starting to work these outer hip muscles here. And these are the muscles that stabilise your pelvis. It's a really important exercise to do. And I would say do about 10 to 15 of these clam exercises on each side. And then lowering that leg down. We're going to do the same on the other side. So just coming onto your other side. Again, taking a moment to get your setup right. So arm out long or head in your hand, whichever works for you. Knees bent in front of your body, feet are roughly in line with your spine. Check again that your pelvis is level and that your knees are level. Feet stay together as you open your knee out. Think again about that drink balance on that top hip, and you're not going to allow your pelvis to roll back. And it doesn't take long before you can really start to feel these muscles working. Let's do 5 more. Last one. And then lowering your leg down. We're going to come onto all fours next. So coming up onto all fours, now we're going to work our shoulders. So we want to have our fingers spread wide. Try and get your thumbs to point towards each other as much as they will. And then we want the inside of your elbow, so I call it your elbow pits, forwards. So if you were to bend your elbows, they would point backwards towards your legs and not out to the side. So see if you can find that position first. And then we're going to keep our arms straight, but you're going to allow your shoulder blades to squeeze together in your back. And then press your shoulder blades wide. We're going to keep going with this. So shoulder blades are going to squeeze in and then press wide. You can have your eyes just looking down at the floor. Notice if your elbows are wanting to bend. Notice if they're wanting to go out to the side. Keep going. The more movement you can get through your shoulder blades, the better. So it's just the shoulders that are moving, so you're not moving your pelvis. It's not like a cat-cow where we're rounding the whole spine. We're just mobilising the shoulders. We're going to do 2 more. And last one. And then just come on off your hands and just give your hands a little shake out. So those are your 3 exercises for today. So the pelvic lift is that standing exercise. Then we've got the clam lying on our side, and then we've got that, this is called the rhomboid push-up. Now you might be wondering why I'm putting a shoulder exercise in when maybe you're here for core and pelvic floor. Everything in your body is connected. Nothing exists in isolation. So in order to have a healthy part of your body, whether that's your shoulders, your hips, your feet, everything else has to work well too. So working your shoulders gives much more mobility and movement through your upper body, which allows all of your muscles to function really, really well. We can't neglect anything, and that's why I approach any condition as a whole body movement. If you have any questions, give me a shout and I'll see you tomorrow.